started out on my wide leg trouser journey, I thought I'd found what I needed, and then I heard everybody for the last year or so talking about the lane pants, and I decided it was time for me to find out, are they just another wide leg trouser, or are they something that I really am going to love in my wardrobe? If I'd known what I know now, would I have bought these sooner? Yes. Would I have made these sooner? Yes, if I'd had time. So there is 1, 2, 3 pairs behind me. I think we might know the answer already. 3 pairs of lane pants in 72 hours. Who knew that what just seemed like another wide leg pair of trousers with a slash pocket was going to be a wardrobe staple? I already have wide leg trousers. How is this? And are they going to replace the wide leg chanterelles? The questions. So, first of all, I'm going to hand over to Past Me just to talk you through the lane pants pattern a little bit. Then I'll quickly come back to Present Me and we'll talk about the challenges that I accidentally set myself by sewing one pair in viscose, another pair in a viscose slub, and another pair in a check print. So go and have a chat with Past Me and she'll tell you about the pattern. If this pattern is new to you, it is the Lane Pants by Sid Graham. I love Sid Graham. She has a YouTube channel, she has sew along, she has lots of other lovely patterns. I can't believe this is the first of her patterns I've ever sewn. I've followed her for ages and watched all her YouTube videos. So the Lane Pants are an elastic waist, slash pocket, wide leg cargo style. You can put a cargo pocket on. It's not for me, a bit too 90s for me. Let me whip on my glasses a second. The pattern goes from a 0 to 34, which is a waist 24 inch to 54 inch and a hip 34 inch to 65 inch. It's classed as a confident beginner, and there is a lot of them out there, and it's time for me to find out if I'm going to be a fan too. Can I just draw attention to the fact that I also like that on page 3 it says intended design. They are high-waisted, comfortable wide leg with buildable elements to help you customise your dream pair of pants. Pick and choose cargo pockets, drawstring, or opt to keep it simple. Depending on the design elements you like and the fabric you choose, you could create anything from linen trousers to pajama bottoms to structured cargo pants and beyond. I love it when a pattern designer tells you what their vision is or what you're looking for in it, because you kind of know then where you're heading in terms of that. And knowing it's high-waisted, really helpful. So I'm going to set about picking my size. Pattern, nice and straightforward. I would overall say that before I do anything else, Sid Graham, excellent YouTube videos, excellent descriptions in her pattern instructions. I have now followed it 3 times. Whilst cutting the patterns out, I've watched her entire nearly 40 minutes sew along video for the pattern. So before I get into any other details, can I just say, as a pattern maker for this pattern, excellent. I also love the fact that she talks about the variety of fabrics you can make it in. So she has she has created a really good quality product. So when I hear her saying that in January she sold 400 copies of the Lane Pant digital pattern, I can see why. When I'm seeing other people on YouTube saying how much they love the Lane Pants, I can see why. It already ticks 2 huge boxes before I even get to the make. But when we get to the make, the first thing I need to say is I have sewn big 4 wide leg patterns, trousers. I've sewn the chanterelles, the saguaro pants. I've tried the Emerson pants. I've done culottes like the Twig and Tail Fernway culottes and more that I can't think of right now. I have made quite a few different wide leg trousers pants patterns. I love the So Liberated Chanterelle wide leg, but I am feeling there is a place where these might just pip above them, and they really, for me, push way above the Saguaro pants, and I need to analyse why. So we will get back into that. But let's just go through what I love about the trousers. So, first of all, the slash pocket has not too wide an opening, which means with the drapier fabric, which I certainly put it to the test doing a viscose, doesn't gape open. Some slash pockets are quite wide, and that means there's a lot of fabric, and even sometimes with a bit of interfacing, if you're using a drapey fabric, which I love for a swooshy wide leg trouser that can work any season, it does cause drapage. On this pattern, it's a small enough space that that doesn't happen. I like the detail of the notch on the pattern. That means that it's easy to line up. I have experienced challenges with the pockets in these makes, but it isn't down to the pattern, it's down to the challenging fabric I use. And we're going to talk about that a bit more in a minute. I also like that the pocket has a French seam on the bottom, which causes a really neat finish on the inside. And I've made a lot of pockets, and I've even hacked pockets, and I have my preferred pocket style. I've made pockets like this before where it's one pocket bag that folds over, but this set of instructions, this whole process, I made them in the So Liberated Arthur and in this style, and this is my preferred description, the way that Sid Graham has done it. So pockets are a huge win. Now there is something about the way these trousers are cut that I really love as well, and this is where we get into this challenge between the Saguaro and the lane pants. They are incredibly similar patterns. Both are a wide leg, both have a fully elasticated waist, both have a slash pocket. I've made several pairs of the Saguaros, one in double gauze, one in like a cotton, lovely good quality cotton poplin. And there's always been something, even though I've worn them in the summer because I made them in fabrics I like, there's always been something for me about how I don't love where they sit on me. And I've never been able to quite pin it down, but for me, I've always found that they just make me a bit aware of my menopause pooch. And I have that in that classic sort of, well, it's a pooch. I could grab it. It's like having a fanny pack on the front, and it's just right below my belly button. And it's just this band that for some reason, the Saguaros make me feel, not that you can necessarily see, but they make me feel conscious of it. And one of the things I really want in the clothes that I wear is when I'm sitting like I am right now, that I don't want to be aware of parts of my body that will occupy my mind when I don't want them to, because I want to be present and enjoying myself. And there's just something about them. And also, when I look in profile, I am realistic that I have a body that I have. I love it some days I'm neutral about it. But there's something about my in profile of the Saguaros that I've never been in love with. Last summer, I made the So Liberated Chanterels in the wide leg, and it is a generous wide leg. And once I made the pairs that I did, I think I made 3 pairs, I was in love. They were the perfect swooshy summer trouser, and they absolutely replaced the Saguaros for me. I did still try to wear them, but they really did replace them. Much wider leg, which wasn't necessarily the thing that replaced them. It was how they felt around my waist and my menopause pooch. And then I made these lane pants. They are a slimmer wide leg than the Chanterels, which is sometimes good because you don't necessarily want all of that fabric. So it's great, but they also make me feel really comfortable with where they sit. All 3 patterns that I've made, I have to do a full seat adjustment. Sid Graham and Friday Pattern Company and So Liberated all have really good measurement guides in their instructions for the back rise and the front rise. Now I'm going to draw you all a very quick picture because I have made the size 12 in the Sid Graham, and when I put them on, the lane pants, at my social the other day, someone said, oh, I think you could size down. And I said, well, I could, but actually I like some room around my hips. So I went for the 12 because it was the right size for my hips, and you know that you can just use the elastic to bring it in a smidge at your waist, and I wanted that good space at my hips. But also for me, if you looked at me from above, my body shape is like a circle. I've got a full seat at the back, and it's probably like a sort of smoother line at the front. So I have to have sometimes shorten the rise at the front, and I have to make a greater rise at the back. So my hips are 41 inches. Someone else might have a 41 inch, but their oval might be like this because they might have wider hips. So be aware that just because we're the same hip doesn't mean that the shape is the same. So you might be a 41 inch and you might need to do a flat seat adjustment at the back of the trouser, because that doesn't take away from your hips. Because and let me show you, because when you make a seat adjustment, it only takes it from the rise. It doesn't change it. Now mine's come apart, but you keep it the same length on this side here. So the hip length doesn't change, but what you do is open up the seat area. Now you might need to do the opposite and close it down, but I have to open it up. And I do that on almost every trouser pattern I make. So when you're looking at does this fit for me, have a look at whether the front or the back rise might need adjusting. Now I'm going to link below an excellent video that I stumbled across this morning where she goes over this really clearly. But with my usual amount of full seat adjustment at the back, I feel that these hang really nicely, because what you don't want in a wide leg trouser is it to curve under your buttocks and then down. You want it to sort of almost drop straight down from the back, and these do this. Right, let's get into detail of the 3 pairs I made, because I've got some things I need to tell you and some confessions to make. So we will do them in chronological order. So I only cut one pair out first, and I cut out this black Viscose pair because I knew that if they went wrong, it's not the end of the world to buy some more black Viscose. The other two, I'd got either they were more expensive fabric or got them at a good bargain. So I went for these as my toile. So I haven't fully finished them on the inside. The other two I did follow Sid Graham's excellent finishing steps as I went along. So let's talk first of all. I always pre-wash my fabric and iron my fabric before I roll it and put it away, which I did. When I unrolled it to cut the pieces out, there was an occasional sort of crease, but mostly it was quite flat. So I did make sure I smoothed it with my hand, and because of my height, I removed 12 centimetres from the bottom of the trousers before I even started, because they are drafted for 5'7", and I'm 5'2". So I removed 12 centimetres off the bottom. I then was able to fit, folded over the front pieces, one back piece next to it, and then one back piece at the bottom, which then left me a spare piece to do waistband and pocket bags out of 2 metres. Now, if you're taller than me or you're more particular about grain direction, then you might want more than 2 metres, but I could get it out of 2 metres. I did have to do 2 separate pieces for the waistband, so I did allow seam allowance, but I was able to get everything else out. So I cut them out, took them to my sewing social event, and I thought, I've got lots of space here. I'm just going to iron the pieces because they've been crushed in a bag, and I'm just going to lay the pattern pieces back on top just to have a little check, because viscose can be a bit of a pain. Insert picture of how badly one of the pieces was. So thank goodness I recut those pieces. One was really bad, the others weren't so bad. The 2 pocket bags were quite different. So that was the first thing I made really difficult, was choosing to sew the first pair in viscose. If you are not such a confident beginner or confident with viscose, pick yourself for something a little bit less challenging for your first make. But once I'd wrangled them, and something I use that's very helpful, this is called Best Press. You can buy it in lots of places. I beg you, please don't buy it on Amazon unless you have really no choice. There's lots of independent places that sell this, US, UK. You can always see it at the shows as well. There is ones with scent. I would go for scent free because I am not a fan of my clothes smelling of washing powder or anything. So this is called Best Press. This is to help wrangle things like Viscose. So it is like a starch spray, but it's not as harsh as a starch spray. And it really does help wrangle things like Viscose. So when I was ironing and pieces like the pockets and the waistband, I did spray some of this on. Probably should have sprayed it on as I was ironing it and cutting it originally, but we live and we learn. So here's what I mean about the fact that even in a Viscose with no interfacing, this pocket is not draping, and that's lovely to see. It is a deep pocket, but that's a nice distance there, which means there's no drapage. The next challenge was doing the pocket bags, because the way you do the pocket bag, you fold it to align it with the slash, you stitch it, turn it through, stitch it again to get the French seam, and then of course you've got to match it to the piece and create this lovely edge here. So there's a lot of opportunities for Viscose to dance around. There was a bit of finagling, there was a bit of it's not fully lined up, but the good thing is a wide leg trouser is fairly forgiving. So that was an unnecessary challenge I created myself. However, there's spotting a thread there, even though you think you snipped them all, you never have. However, despite having to finagle them a lot, they turned out beautifully. I got them to the point where I'd pin the elastic in the back with a big safety pin, nappy pin, put them on, showed everyone, everyone went, that's a nice fit. And it really was. So when I got home, I finished that edge. The way Sid Graham does her waistband, I do my waistband my preference, and I really like the chanterelle style of waistband. If you're not in a position where you are a waistband person who has your own opinion, follow Sid Graham's, because it is very clear, but I do mine slightly different, but it gives the same effect. And that means I do right sides together, trap that in, overlock the edge, and then it means that I've not got extra bulk here. If I could have one thing on this patterns wish list that I would do differently, and I'll probably do it myself, I would have about 1.5 or 2 centimetres, about 1 inch worth more of width of the waistband, because that's tight with my elastic in, and that's the elastic I've got. I've got a giant roll of it and I don't want to buy other elastic, but you might have the right elastic that you're happy with. Viscose is a pain to hem because it drifts and things, so I have hemmed them with a reasonable depth hem because sometimes it can shrink. So I've given myself a generous hem, which actually Sid Graham has on the pattern, but I'll probably have to tweak them depending on what shoes I wear as well. But as a swooshy pair of throw-on trousers, when I want to wear a nice top like this, they're perfect. They're sort of like, they're not the MVP, they're not the most valuable player, but they are the workhorse of the wardrobe that allows the other pieces to shine, and they are doing exactly that. While I'm talking about particular pieces, and at the end I will show some styling with them, because it's always nice to see how we can wear our makes. If you can face the challenge of the drift and the shift of Viscose, it is worth it. A pair of good quality Viscose trousers is a thing of dreams. It's soft, it's drapey, it doesn't add a lot of bulk when you've got like pocket bags and waistbands. It means that you can get a really nice sort of, I would say, like sort of a lovely flowy silhouette with a top. It plays well with lots of tops, and it's just a dream. When I'm having a day when I just need to get to work, throw something on where I feel smart-ish and I want to have a lovely top on, these are the dream. I've been dreaming about them for about 4 or 5 months, took the risk with the lane pants, and now I have that dreamy pair of trousers. So of course I had a bit of time left at the social, because it is quite a straightforward make as well, and so I cut out a second pair. Now I ummed and ahed between a double gauze pair and this Slub, this Viscose Slub, and I went for the Viscose Slub because I felt that they, again with this pocket bag, there wouldn't be so much bulk. I probably will have a go at a double gauze pair sometime, because I can really straight compare to that double gauze Saguaro pants that I have. So again, I chose a tricky fabric because this is almost, but not quite, as drapey and slippy, and it's finer than the Viscose. Just like, I fully ironed the fabric this time first. And you can see again what I'm talking about the niceness of this pocket. It's not gaping. I did a little press crease in there by accident. It is nice. I followed along all the overlocking steps in my rainbow overlocker thread here as I went along. So you can see that all the way through. So I did them at the stages when Sid Graham said to do them because I was quite interested in what effect that would have. So it means that like the crotch curve, everything has that nice finish. I don't honestly beat myself up about whether when I top stitch it stitches in the ditch. Would you notice? Would you care? This is my preference. Sid Graham does talk about it, but she does a straight stitch. My preference is to use a zigzag stitch, and I sort of stretch. I do lots of this to distribute it first. Sid even talks about that in her video, and then I give it a good stretch as I go along. If I'm worried about it misbehaving, I will stretch it out, put some pins in. It's my preferred way. It stops the elastic shifting about, tweaking over. You could just stitch in the ditch on the two sides, but I like the way it looks as well. And it's just my preference. But finding what you like in an elastic waistband is a beautiful thing. So I have yet to hem these because I want to wash them again, because this is another tricky beast about the way it behaves. They are a little thinner, so I would say this wasn't a full-on winter trouser, but when I go to work or when I go out for a meal where there's heating on, I get warm. So, ooh, fun. Bit of sunshine over there. So I know that they will get wet because I just put my chunky coat over the top if it's cold and windy outside, if I know I'm going to be warm inside. So I'm really looking forward to wearing these. And actually having a navy blue is just a bit softer against bright colours than black. I do like wearing black, but sometimes it's quite hard as a colour. Navy blue can be much softer against things like pink, green, oranges. Give it a try if you haven't, because it just creates a different look. So I thought, I'm on a roll now, let's make a third pair. I've got all the pieces out, I know how to make this pattern now. I find it cements it in my mind as well. I've had this fabric for a while. I bought it from Cotton Patch, which is a UK independent company. This is an Anne-Marie Horner, I want to say. I'll put the name on the screen because I could be wrong. She designs beautiful fabrics. This is one of her woven prints. It came in several different colourways. I bought 2 meters. It isn't quite as wide as those two fabrics. So whole new set of challenges here. Easier to sew with because it is a cotton. It's like a cotton woven. So it's not super thick, but it is thicker than dealing with those two. Whole new world of challenge in that it was not such a wide fabric, and it was much more expensive. So I'd only bought 2 meters, and at the time I hadn't known I was going to make a wide leg trouser. I probably would have squeezed to 2.5 budget wise if I'd known what I was going to do with it, but I was determined. So first of all, I rotated the fabric round because the nature of the fabric is the grain is not so relevant on this because it doesn't have any stretch, anything like that. So rotated it, and because of the length of my legs, I could cut them widthways across the fabric. So I was able to fold in from both sides and have a thin strip up the middle and a bit where the crotches were to cut out waistband and pocket bags. Now unfortunately I could only cut one pocket bag and it's a whole piece, so I had to cut a second pocket bag out in 2 pieces and join it together, which with the nature of the pocket bag wasn't necessarily going to be seen. A little bit extra bulk, but of course I then accidentally snipped it when I was trimming the seam down, so then I had to top the stitch out and make that a French seam as well. And then I had to do the waistband in 2 pieces again. So 2 out of the 3 pairs I've had to do the waistband in 2 pieces, but it's not a bother for me because you just have the side seams to join the 2 waistband pieces together. So it suddenly is a bit distracting. It's not a huge bother because you can just join them down the sides, and it's okay. It's okay to finagle those things, particularly in a drapier fabric. This one I could get just slightly longer than half out and then a smaller piece, which meant that actually the joins are at the back. But honestly, if I do this, could you tell where they are? I dare you. I'm having trouble seeing them. Look, there's one there. Look. Can you even tell? No. So if you don't tell anyone, people generally don't know those things. So join those together. As I say, the second pocket bag was a bit of a challenge, but we got over it. But of course, it's a checked fabric. So there's the challenge of that as well. So I couldn't perfectly pattern match all of it because I was limited by my fabrics. But what I did decide to do was make sure that the side seams were pattern matched. And that's the same on both sides. But of course, because of the front, because of the curve and the fact that it goes underneath, it matches when you get lower down the leg, but couldn't match here. Now, some might say that's the most important match. But actually, with the gathering, with all that's going on, will it notice perfectly? Maybe some people will, but really, honestly, if someone is staring at my crotch that much, we've got other conversations that we need to have. I'm okay about it. And that's the key thing about sewing, is how you feel about it. And if you feel that you should have pattern matched it, then perhaps you're the kind of sewist that needs to buy your fabric when you know your project and you know how much you need, and you give yourself a bit of allowance. Up until now, I've been the kind of sewist that buys the fabric that excites me when I see it and worry about what I'm going to make with it later. I'm trying to change that, but I'm living with what I've got. I'm sewing my stash and I'm cool with it. Now, I think these do have a whiff of pajama about them, but I'm up for the challenge. So at the end of this video, I am going to style these up to see if I can wear them every day and not feel like pajamas. And I'm going to challenge myself to see if I can style them up to wear to work. I'm cool about wearing them at the weekend. I'm excited for the spring with the colours. But if they end up becoming pajamas, I'm honestly not going to be sad about that, because what fabulous pajamas to have with very amazing pockets. But I think that we should wear what we love. And I want to see if someone says to me, are they pajama trousers? I say, well, they could be if I want them to be, but it's up to me. So I love it. I'm excited to wear them. And that is the most important thing. Chose a lovely mint green for my top stitching on these. And I did it on the understitch of the pocket. Because with a fabric like this, you could go for a variegated thread just to embrace it, or just pick a colour that you like. And I felt the mint green wasn't too hard. If I'd gone for like the purple or the burgundy, it would have been quite hard against the green. I felt the mint green was just softer all round. The other thing I did slightly differently in these was I used the selvage for the waistband, which means I didn't need to overlock it at this moment. I'll see how it behaves. I can always go back and do something with it. So I set out to find out, were these a worthy contender for the wide leg trousers that I already had, and was the height worth it? And if you already own wide leg trousers, why would you get them? Honestly, I'm not sure what Sid Graham has done. I've watched quite a few videos. Some people have had to do quite a bit of hacking to get them to fit their body, but I think if you really go for the hip measurement, and then when you look at the finished measurement, don't size down, because you want some room around your hips, because when you're sat down and the shape of us changes, you need to have some space. They're wide leg trousers. Don't size down going, oh, my hip measurement's this. That's a lot of ease. Think about what you want in your wide leg trousers. But she has created here what can feel like, but it's a simple pattern. She's drafted it well. And when I look at Sid Graham, she has kind of a body that's a similar sort of style of body to mine, and maybe that's why the pattern works well for me, because of the way she drafts her patterns. And I have noticed this with independent pattern designers, they often draft to the type of body that they have, which is totally cool because it helps you to see how it might look. But this has worked really well for me. So I now have a wide leg pair of trousers that honestly, I think they are more versatile. I love the chanterelles, but I wouldn't want to make those in a stiffer fabric, not the wide leg version. The other version, yes, I've made them in a cotton twill, but not the wide leg version. Sid Graham has made these in a lightweight denim, and I've seen Liz the baker that sews make them in a corduroy. So I feel that, by the way, there is a drawstring. I never put drawstring in anything. I don't need any extra bulking or anything around the front. I just don't want it on my mind. These have the flexibility to be made in a wide range of fabrics. If you think I've made 3 different ones, I think if you make them in a stiffer fabric, the leg will be more like a cargo. She has the cargo pocket as well, which for me doesn't work in these. Or maybe in these it might have looked less pajama-y, but I didn't have enough fabric. So would I have said, if I'd known what I know now, would I have bought these sooner? Yes. Would I have made these sooner? Yes, if I'd had time. Would I recommend this pattern? Yes, I would. I would like to hear what your favourite wide leg trouser pattern is, because maybe there's other ones I'm missing out on too. And now I'm going to hand over to me doing a bit of styling for you. I know you've seen it through the video, but a bit of bonus styling for you. Catch you again soon. Now, if you have enjoyed this video, I think you will enjoy the wide leg chanterelle ones, because then you can see the difference between the two and hear about why I love them so much. So I will link it for you here.